All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the Detroit Lions. So now that the NFL draft is officially over, not only did the Detroit Lions have a phenomenal offseason with free agency and trades, but they also had a great draft. I think borderline the worst grade you could give Detroit in the draft class is an A minus. Personally, I'm going A. I'm going A plus in the future here. I love who they took, and I just want to say really quickly, their first two picks in the first round of the draft, Jameer Gibbs, running back out of Bama, pick number 18, linebacker Jack Campbell out of Iowa. I really like it. All right. And I've been seeing a lot of non Lions fans comment on these videos saying, what are you doing taking a running back at pick number 12? What are you doing taking Jack Campbell out of pick number 18? Just for some quick context, the thing with both of those draft picks is they both were selected ahead of their quote unquote predictions or their mock or whatever you have. I look at the first five picks with the Detroit Lions and I'm thinking to myself, Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. All right. What were some big, not concerns, but what were some big points of emphasis with the Detroit Lions heading into the NFL draft and even the offseason in general? All right. Well, you lost Jamal Williams, right? You bring in David Montgomery. David Montgomery, is he a superstar stud? All respect to DM, but no, he's not a superstar stud. He's a great complimentary borderline RB1. All right. So what do you do with Jameer Gibbs? You take him at pick number 12, you trade back, you acquire some assets, and you take Jameer Gibbs, running back out of Bama, with your first selection at pick number 12. Now, the big thing right now, or in the last several years, is like, why would you take a running back in the first round? Like, even if you have a Derrick Henry type prospect, why would you take a running back in the first round? Well, the answer for me is because the NFC North is so bad, right? The Chicago Bears are rebuilding. The Green Bay Packers, my Green Bay Packers, just traded away Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to be good next year. Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings had a phenomenal regular season and crumbled like a day-old cookie in the playoffs. The time to win, it's not like it's moved up because, in fact, this is exactly on plan with the Detroit Lions, but it's like the time's now. The NFC is so weak in just general, let alone the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers has commanded the NFC North for several years, like over a decade, in fact. So I take a look at Jameer Gibbs and I'm thinking to myself, all right, this is a running back who rushed for over 926 yards and 7 touchdowns last season in his first and final year with Alabama. All right. Well, he had 6.1 yards per rush. In fact, he also had 44 catches for 444 yards with 3 touchdowns. What do the Detroit Lions love with running backs? And in general, the answer is versatility. So I look at Jameer Gibbs and I'm like, all right, technically, is it a bit of a reach because of the other talent on the board? I suppose. But I genuinely don't believe 5 years from now we're going to be sitting here thinking about, well, that's a reach. Now, real quick, before we go any further into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. If you guys like Lions videos, let's try and get this video to 500 likes. As always, I love my Lions fans seriously so much. Even though I'm a Packers fan, you guys are so respectful. You guys are so talented as a football team, as an organization. I can't wait for the continual development and progression of this Detroit Lions football team. So, Jameer Gibbs, to me, does it seem like a bit of a reach if we're looking at it on paper right now? I guess. That's fine. But in just 195 plays, he had almost 1,400 total yards from scrimmage. Let's keep it a buck here. Jameer Gibbs is a talented football player. All right, now let's move on to our second first-round draft pick with Jack Campbell. Pick number 18, inside linebacker out of Iowa. I look at Jack Campbell's, and you could even look at his statistics. Like last year at Iowa, in 13 games played, he had 125 total tackles. He had 5.5 sacks. Even the year before that at Iowa, he had 140 total tackles, 3.5 sacks. Like, Jack Campbell is a really good football player. But I urge a lot of Lions fans, and not even this actually isn't even directed at Lions fans. It's more so directed at anybody who is hesitant on the Jack Campbell pick. Go look into his story. All right, this was a talented football and basketball player out of the university, or that ended up going to the University of Iowa. He's originally from Cedar Falls in Iowa, and he just has a great family connection. He just has a great sports connection. Farm town, great work ethic. All right. And he's got a great story, whether it's high school or college. Like, even in college, he refused NIL opportunities because he wanted to focus on football and school. And when I take a look at Jack Campbell, I think to myself, this is a leader. This is a motivated individual. This is an aggressive, tackling linebacker that you just acquired. So if we take a look at the first round and we think to ourselves on paper, it's like, all right, you're taking a running back at pick 12 and a linebacker at pick 18. The flashy positions are like quarterback, wide receiver, the edge rushers, maybe even some offensive linemen. When you look at it on paper, it's like, all right, maybe it's not the flashiest of draft picks with Jameer and Jack, but I look at both of these players, especially with the DeAndre Swift trade and the linebacker production for the Lions last season, and I'm thinking to myself, these are guys who are going to make immediate day one impacts and get the Detroit Lions back into the playoffs. Those are my immediate thoughts. And then we could even go deeper into the second round where you got Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa. You got Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. Brian Branch was selected at pick number 45, which is like early to mid second round. I saw all offseason so many mock drafts, where my Green Bay Packers take Brian Branch at pick number 15 or whatever we had before we traded Aaron Rodgers. And you're telling me mid-second round is when you got Brian Branch? Come on. Give me a break here. The Detroit Lions had a phenomenal draft class. And I think people who really watch college football, who really watch and stay in tune with both college football and the NFL, you take a look at the Detroit Lions draft and you're like, this is an A. And the only reason they're only an A actually is because we have yet to see these players actually hit the field. So 1 year from now, I guarantee you, or at least I'm very highly certain that we're going to be sitting here behind the mic and saying Detroit Lions, they killed the draft. I have full faith in Brad Holmes and his ability to develop, but more importantly, scout draft talent. You look at Sam Laporta last season, 58 catches, 657 yards. And I'm thinking to myself, these are just guys who help you. Yes, you lost TJ Hawkinson. Yes, you have enticing tight ends. You have like an enticing three-headed monster at tight end last season. But if you are serious about winning and you are serious about getting to that next level and you want to win playoff games and you want to get into the playoffs and you want to win Super Bowls, having a sturdy, reliable, young tight end is a difference maker. But bottom line, there is no debate to it. That is a complete and utter difference maker. So I look at Sam Laporta and I'm like, all right, I like the pick. It's a deep tight end draft class. You focused on a running back and linebacker, two important needs. And then in the second round, third pick, you take another important need in Sam Laporta. And then with your fourth pick in the draft in round 2, you take another important need on your defense, which wasn't ranked great last season, in Brian Branch. And then you put the icing on the cake with Hendon Hooker, because it's like, yes, Hendon Hooker was a Heisman favorite last season. He threw like 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The last 2 seasons Hendon Hooker's had at Tennessee have been spectacular. And if he didn't get injured and if he wasn't old, if he wasn't like 25 years old, Hendon Hooker would be a round 1 quarterback, undisputed. If we subtracted 3 years and an injury, and I know it's a bunch of hearsay, but keep with me, if we subtracted those things from Hendon Hooker last season, he would be a round 1 draft pick, undisputed. All right. So at least you have some collateral. At least you have something that Jared Goff, God forbid, were to get injured, or if things just aren't working out long term, you have somebody who's ready to come in and get to work. So I look at Detroit, more specifically as we focused on in today's draft class, or in today's video, their first 5 picks in their draft class, I mean, those are A's. Combined, that's an A. And I think really soon it will be an A+, and I'm excited for the Lions season. So this is a bit of a rant-esque video. I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll continue to look deeper into the Detroit Lions, not only their offseason, but more recently their draft class. So stay tuned. I'll try and get this video to 250 likes. I appreciate you guys seriously so much. But let me know what you're thinking about each of the first 5 draft picks, or just in general down